This is the Husqvarna Norden 901. Now, essentially, it's a KTM 890 in a fancy frock, but it's kind of a lot more than that. KTM pitch their adventure bikes as super killer death, winner, race, ready to race, jump, big jump, skid, wheelie, jump, rally, Dakar. And Husqvarna have kind of taken a different approach to that. They've gone for travel. They've used people like Lyndon Poskett to advertise it. They've talked about building a bike that can take you to faraway places, not focused on doing it as fast as possible, but focused on getting you there and, importantly, getting you back again. So although the Norden shares a kind of base motorcycle with that 890, the way it's been spec'd and built up in terms of suspension travel and equipment is far more aimed at actual adventure travel. Now for me, that pictures it as kind of a true successor to bikes like the original KTM 640 Adventure, bikes like the first Africa Twin and the old Yamaha Teneres, bikes that were never designed to be rally bikes. They were never designed to have high performance off-road. They were just designed to make it. So with that in mind, let's go and get lost. These videos only happen because of the support and help from our sponsors. Support the companies that support us. So what have we actually got here? Well, we have got 100-ish horsepower parallel twin engine, same as the one in the KTM 890. We've got a bike that doesn't come with a great deal as standard, but they're 12.3 as standard, so it's not too much. I did my normal Chris trick when I got excited and I spec'd one up for myself, and I came in just under 14 grand, and that was with heated grips, heated seats, and a few little other trinkets around the bike. Nothing major. I didn't go for the full luggage or anything. Just a few nice little things to make riding an adventure on it a little bit more comfortable. Now other than that, you've got the TFT dash with the rider modes. This one's got the Explorer pack on, which was one of the boxes I would tick. That gives you a little bit more freedom to change the traction control and ABS settings if you're focusing a bit more on the off-road side of the adventure. That's well worth ticking on the options box. Tyres wise, these things come on Pirelli's sort of 70-30 road to off-road tyre. It's the Scorpion Rally STR. It wouldn't be my first choice of tyre for what I will use this bike for, but that's how it came. They're not a bad road tyre. They're okay on gravel tracks, and in the mud they're not amazing, but hey, that's going to put the bike in a really hard position where it's got to prove that it's easy to handle when it's out of its depth, which for me is absolutely key with an adventure travel bike. So I'm freezing my whatsits off stood here in a check shirt and jeans, so I'm going to go and put all of the clothes I can find on, load this thing up with some luggage and head out in the hills. The aim is we're going to get lost, we're going to get stuck. I want to find some new trails and yeah, really go out of our comfort zone and see how the bike performs. What a day. Look at where we've ended up. It is absolutely glorious. And it's exactly what I wanted to do. The whole Norden thing, from the marketing materials Husqvarna have put out to reading about Lyndon Poskett's stories with it, this is exactly what it's made me want to do. Disappear out to the middle of nowhere, find peace, quiet, beautiful scenery, but have a lot of fun on the way there. From that point of view, massive tick, Husqvarna Norden. 901 big happy smiles today. Cheesy enough for you? It has proven itself as an exploring bike. And I think that, for me, is probably about as good a description I can think of it. It's not the fastest road bike, it's not the most capable off-road bike, it's not the biggest, comfiest, grand distance covering bike. It's just great for exploring, whether it's on tiny little single track roads with grass growing out the middle of them, whether it's charging down to find the best A road you can possibly find, or pulling off onto little skinny muddy tracks and seeing where they lead you. I've had an absolute blast riding this thing today, and furthermore I've got myself stuck, I've got myself in awkward positions, I've had to hop over logs and drag it out of trouble. Annoyingly, nowhere near the cameraman because I was trying to hide it wasn't happening. But the point remains, when you're in the edge of your comfort zone, when you're in trouble, the Norden looks after you. And for me, that is probably the most important attribute of a bike you want to go adventuring and exploring on. Now the actual ride on the Norden, let's talk about road riding first. It's wearing a set of Pirelli Scorpion Rally STR tyres, so they're probably a 70-30, 80-20 road bias tyre. They're not one of my favourite off-road tyres, particularly when it's muddy, I have to say. They're a bit sketchy, but on the road they worked really well today. It was freezing cold this morning, so it took a little bit of heat to get into them. When it was sort of 0 degrees, I was a bit nervous of leaning the bike too far, but once I got a bit of heat into them, got them working, I was super happy to ride this thing, both cruisy purring between bends and, as you saw, skidding into corners like a supermoto riding idiot because, hey, it can do it, so why not? But on the road, this bike does a really good job of being comfortable to cruise for hours, leave it in one gear, chug along, job done. It also backs that up with a real mischievous side. It's got some of that kind of KTM-esque supermoto lunacy in it. It wants to pull a wheelie, it wants to do a power slide. It's not got the mental insane power of things like the 1290, but it's just got a lot of play and a lot of fun in it. And actually, compared to the big capacity class adventure bikes, the ones with 160 horsepower, you end up playing and goofing around on this a lot more because it doesn't intimidate you and it doesn't immediately feel like you're doing something very, very bad. It's just a good giggle and a good fun. I think that is really encouraging for all abilities of rider. I had a few small niggles on the road. One, the screen, I can't help but to compare it to the Ducati Multistrada V2, which I've been riding loads recently. The screen on that is adjustable up and down. So when you're on a long boring cruise bit, you put the screen up and you can sit in a nice bubble. And when you get to the fun stuff, you can drop the screen down. The base model one of them is pretty much the same price as this is, and this doesn't have an adjustable screen, and the screen's fairly low. Of course you can put a high screen on it, but yeah, I kind of wanted to see an adjustable screen on it. Don't know, I've got used to them now and they're a good idea, so I did miss that on the Norden. Second one, I don't even have OCD, but this wound me up. The pillion seat is separate to the rider seat. When you take the pillion seat off, you can put the rider seat in a high mode and a low mode. Really good, really helpful. I actually have used it on the high mode when I've done a bit of mileage for comfort, and then back in low mode for off-roading and tricky stuff. When you put it in high mode, that yellow line sits up here and doesn't line up. It's really annoying. I don't have OCD, but yeah, that bugs me. Elsewhere on the road, I found the Norden a really enjoyable bike to ride. It was effortless. All the things I loved about the KTM 890 Duke R when I first rode that engine, it applies to this now, and it's always got go. It's always working and doing what you want it to do. Compared to the old 790 version of this engine, this has got much better throttle response. It does what you ask it, it feels less muted. So from the road riding point of view, I absolutely couldn't fault the Norden. I really enjoyed it. No, it's not a full sports bike. It's never gonna be that, but you can ride it like a supermoto riding idiot and it will put a massive smile on your face. Let's switch to off-road. The cost. This is where the Norden gets interesting for me. Let's not dance around the fact that this is essentially a KTM 890 Adventure or Adventure R in some funny clothes and different colours. What they've done to it in making it this kind of travel version, they've gone midway in the suspension travel, they've kind of set the whole thing up a little bit more for travel and a little bit less kind of performance and rally and enduro orientated. It shouldn't be that much different to those two bikes, but it ends up coming out a fairly different flavour. It retains, importantly, the good bits of those bikes. Super easy low speed handling, low centre of gravity, good riding position, and an easy to use engine and clutch. So it costs you off-road. When you want to get after it, it's got some snap, it's got some slide in it, it wants to wheelie and jump and hop. Fantastic. The Norden is supposed to be a travel bike, and as soon as you start riding it like an enduro bike or a rally bike, I did find a few shortcomings with it. I started blowing through the suspension travel, I started clattering the sump guard, which, you know, I know that you can argue it's not supposed to do that. That's what the KTM Adventure 890 Adventure R is for, and the 890 Adventure Rally. This one is designed to be effective off-road, if not the most high performance. So if you ride it with that in mind, it works fantastically. Again, as with all of those 890 KTMs, this thing is just so easy to get on with off-road. Where it looks after you best is in the super technical stuff, trying to drag it over logs and get through awkward streams and walk across really mossy river crossings. I felt so confident to do that on this in a way that a lot of bikes I don't feel like that on. And that's high praise indeed, because confidence is absolutely everything in the dirt. I did have a couple of, things I felt were lacking. So first and foremost, the rear shock. I know it's not supposed to be a rally bike. I know it's not supposed to do big jumps, but I found the rear shock blowing through the travel a little too easily. I had my roll bag on the back. It's not super heavy bag, and I wound the preload up to sort of get it up away from that. But even without a bag on it, it does just seem to crash into the bump stop on the shock a little bit too much. I've ridden 2 different Nordens now, and they both did it, more than I'd want. Now, the rear shock is a more basic unit than what you get on the 890 Adventure R. So what I'm saying is I don't want any more travel. I'd just like a little bit more, ability to adjust compression damping, a little bit more support from the rear shock, so that when you do miss that rain gully, when you do fail to spot the hole in the trail, it's not going to bottom out and make it a big drama. You just want that little bit of safety just to give you a chance when you hit the thing you didn't see. And I wonder if that's made worse by the fact that the forks are actually really good. You've got rebound and compression damping adjustment, and the front end has never given me trouble all day. So maybe they've done too good a job on the forks, and that's why the shock's shown up as a bit of an issue for me. I love the big round headlight and the big round spotlights built into it. They're great, they're useful when you're riding in terrible conditions, and a big headlight's what you need on a travel bike. So they haven't tried to make a pointy, stylish headlight. They've made a big round headlight and made a thing of it. I've got time for that. I really like, under these side panels, the little hidden toolboxes. I must admit, I hold my hands up, I spent 5 minutes whinging about the lack of toolkits on modern motorcycles before I found them. And you just pop the side panels off, and there's 2 toolboxes hidden under the side panels. One's empty for you to put your own stuff in, and one's got a Husky toolkit. Beautiful, really nice touch, really neat, well thought out part of the bike. Another thing I really liked, strapping my bag on the back. Big sort of plastic formed grab rail, so there's no paint or bodywork to damage with your bag. Good points to strap on, and my roll bag hasn't moved all day. Again, stupid little thing, but when you're riding off-road and traveling off-road, spending every other time you stop 5 minutes strapping your bag back on is really tedious. So that stuff, really important. The fact that there's a GPS mount right above the clocks there, take that off, there's already power in there for a GPS unit. Again, really, really useful. 12-volt socket right in front of you with a full-size kind of car 12-volt outlet rather than that fiddly little DIN spec mini 12-volt one that lots of bikes have. So look, grown-up practical points at reviewing an adventure motorcycle. This might be a first for me. I'll try and back it up with some hops through puddles. Now, obviously, when you're looking at a bike for adventure travel, for doing big trips, one of the things everyone is rightly concerned about is reliability. This is a minefield, and honestly, there is no right answer here. First of all, there's the old school clique, the people who say, I'm going to ride a 1998 XR600 because I can fix it with a stick. And you know what? If you're in the back end of the African desert, you're much more likely to be able to get your XR600 going again than you are a modern bike when you get some sort of wiring or ECU fault. I'm 100% with you there. Husqvarna and KTM have been getting a bit of a shoeing recently every time we put a video up talking about this sort of thing. This is a 1,000-mile-old motorcycle and hasn't had any faults all day, as you would damn well hope. And for me, that's kind of the point. If you're buying new, if it's going to go wrong, it's annoying, but it's not your problem. If it breaks when it's new, that's a warranty issue, that's back to the dealer. So it's not it's irritating, but it's not a financial problem. What you've got to do for yourself is, if you're buying a second-hand one, spend time on the forums, speak to a few different retailers and try and get some information out of them, and you'll work out pretty soon what to look out for on them. If you're buying it new, less of an issue. So essentially, yeah, buy with your heart, let your head deal with the problems later. I'm not a very good person for practical advice, am I? If you're looking for a bike that is for high performance off-road riding, if you're one of those people who likes, kind of like me, to thrash and ride hard off-road on a big adventure bike, actually the Norden's not the bike for you. It's lower suspension, it's shorter travel, that sort of rear shock softness, if you like, it doesn't lend itself to doing that. But if you're into exploring off-road, if you're into going places that you've never been before, struggling through different trails, dealing with whatever you come across, that's where the Norden really comes to shine. It's easy to ride, it will get you out of trouble, and it will look after you when you're at the edge of your comfort zone. Back that up with a bike that has done 60 miles per gallon all day and has been an absolute hoot to ride on the road, both fast and slow, and I think Husky are onto a big winner there. There's going to be a lot of comparisons between this and Yamaha's T7 or the Tenere 700. I'm, at the moment, lent towards the Norden. The T7's a better hooligan bike, the T7's a better bike for charging off-road, but for me, for what I kind of want out of a bike right now, the Norden's quite high on my list. Brilliant, comfy, looks cool, can't wait to ride it home. I might go the long way.